same story we just talked about in Florida. And this is the difference. Again, I go back. The Republican Party for the last 4 years has been much more aggressive.
Don't even let them cope like this. The campaign was shit and didn't address any of the important topics that people actually cared about, and sometimes did the opposite. I know.
Massive voter registration campaigns for the last 3 years, and it has padded them. It's what Texas. Look, Republicans got stronger in Texas. I mean, that Latino vote in Texas, when you've got over 60% Latino men moving in Texas towards the Republicans, that's realignment. That is realignment that's happening.
And I think we have another Senate call to make now.
It's funny to see Democrats, like, after running fucking, like, I fear that Democrats are going to run the most racist campaign you've ever done fucking seen after this realignment.
And there's, against Larry Hogan, former governor, difference 171,000 votes there.
I'm worried.
So here's the Senate at this hour. The Republicans have picked up 1 seat. They need to pick up 2 to take control.
Quick recap of how you're feeling. I am not confident. I am now going to be tuning into the Canadian broadcaster.
Got Michigan we're watching. Alyssa Slotkin trying to hold on to that seat after.
I'm going to be tuning into the Canadian broadcaster right now to do a Zoom meeting with them. Okay. I'm going to launch this meeting. Hopefully it'll work. Why is it not working? Hello. Join from the browser. This meeting link is invalid. Okay. Meeting link is invalid. It is not working. That's not good. With the guns out? Yeah, with the guns out, baby. You already know. Okay, well, we'll continue while I wait for that. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. At least we can still watch House on Ivy while the country burns. Move to Canada if you hate the hogs, lol. Well, the irony is Canada is also fucking infested with hogs. So there's that problem too. Hogs are impossible to avoid, okay? Hogs are like the top of the hour ad break, impossible to avoid unless you subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime or by getting gifted a sub. The needle is now officially at 79%, projecting a Trump victory. Holy fuck. Twitch Prime is free. I'm not running a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, but you can still subscribe if you'd like to. It's getting worse. It's getting worse, and it's getting worse and worse. Leftists need to organize and fast. I mean, you never stop organizing, win or lose. It doesn't matter. That doesn't change the reality. Are we cooked? I mean, is the country cooked? Yes. But the country was cooked, as I said, time and time again. Whether Kamala Harris wins or loses, the country is cooked. It's just a matter of how much worse it is going to get. With Donald Trump, it is definitely slated to get significantly worse. Not just this country that's cooked, though. Many other countries are cooked as well. Is Austin coming on too? Austin has not replied. Not if Chuck Schumer passes the anti-Semitism bill gets passed through Mississippi, we might not be able to legally watch you. There's also that too. Aren't these already projected red? The
Democrats made gains here.
The issue is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. If Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris doesn't win Pennsylvania, it's over. The race is over. It's done.
Trump's a little bit short of that number. That was a bad number for him, and he's a little bit short of it now. But this is the thing to look for. With all of this remaining election day vote still to be counted, we just saw this happen in Lackawanna County. Is that going to happen in Cumberland County? Is Trump going to gain enough that he hits that number and surpasses that 2020 number? This is the kind of place where his campaign needs to win back ground that they lost in 2020. This is a big part of why, or a significant part of why Trump lost Pennsylvania in 2020. So we're going to follow that as it continues to come in. And I can also note Butler County. This is red. Obviously, it was heavily in the news this summer with that Trump rally. Believe it or not, Butler County in the Trump era, which started in 2016, while it's still deeply red, has actually gotten less red. This has been a bit of a growth area, suburbs right outside Pittsburgh, some rural areas too. The Democrats actually, I'll just show you, put it up on the screen here. This was actually a bit disappointing for Trump in 2020. Just go back here and you can take a look. He won it by 37 points in 2016, only 32 in 2020. This is a place where Democrats would like to make more gains. Right now, it's basically exactly where it landed in 2020. And again, there's not a ton, but there's more of that same-day vote to come. And this is, again, the kind of place where the Trump campaign's goal coming into tonight would be to stop those losses.
There's no pathway to 270 votes for Kamala Harris without Pennsylvania. It's the most populous out of all of the electoral colleges, out of all of the electoral college swing states. And it's the one that she absolutely needs, including Michigan and Wisconsin. If she wins Pennsylvania, the likelihood that she wins Michigan and Wisconsin is higher. I'm calling it Edgermentum for additional analysis now. Did it look this bad in 2020 for Biden at this time, or was it significantly better? I don't remember, but 2020 was a little different because there was heavy early voting. I'm waiting for CBC to send me a new link because the Zoom link that they sent me is broken. Okay, so. All right. You're back on. Ed Edgermentum, everybody. So I just want to let you know quick that I might have to abruptly end the call because I have I'm supposed to be zooming into the Canadian broadcaster in a little bit. Good. And oh shit, they actually did send me a new link. Hold on. Just give us a quick update on what you think is happening in terms of
the polling broadly was right. The shit pollsters that were hurting seemed to kind of get things right. The higher quality ones that did really well in 2022 seems to have overclocked Kamala a bit. The path here is really like the shitty, narrow Joe Biden 270 path. It's hypothetically possible that she could get through the blue wall through Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. All those states are still rated as toss-ups by the New York Times. They should be correlated with each other. These are not toss-ups that lean
which
towards
ministers,
her,
which officials are doing what
Michigan,
work.
They have no. The Michigan is wrong state. My browser fucked up.
Oh shit. Okay. I have to run really quickly because they're ready for me, the Canadian broadcaster. But I'm gonna call you back in a second. Okay.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, what is going on here?
Part of a future Trump administration should Donald Trump win. That relationship has been
Hello, can you hear me?
with an eye towards the future.
Hi
Hello?
Hassan, this is Gabby over in radio. Just double checking that you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. No problem. Hello.
I do that for
I'm muting the desktop audio real quick so you don't. I'm muting the desktop audio. I'm muting them so that you don't hear them. Hani şu anda konuşamam. Canadian Broadcast ile konuşuyorum. Ne var? Yok, aç kapıyı, al kayı ne olur.
phone call was like two old friends, really very cordial. And we know the relationship has been mercurial. So some of that relationship building is really something that I think people around Justin Trudeau will be leaning on and trying to,
they want me
do
to
a
count
lot
for them.
Donald Trump.
Okay. 1, 2,
And on
3,
the other
4,
side,
5,
the
6,
same
7,
kind of
8,
efforts are
9.
going into developing
We appreciate you
relationships with
counting. Thank you so much. We'll come to you shortly.
Those
Okay,
efforts have
thank
been
you.
made. And of course, those two have been in the room together before. And I've spoken to Canadian officials.
I
who
told
have
them
been
that
the
I'm
room
live
with
in front
her,
of
talking about
300,000
how she's,
people.
somebody who really wants to get down to business, really wants to get things done. In that case, there is more of a sense that there are shared values there. They know she's very concerned about issues issues like labor rights and the environment, things that matter a lot to Justin Trudeau.
They wanted me to
But
count
at the same
so
time,
that I
they
could.
appreciate that there could be pressure there going forward. I know when they attempted to, build more of these relationships and have more meetings with the Biden administration, the incoming Biden administration last time around, though they were told that there just wasn't an interest in having conversations with foreign government, that the transitional period was not the time to do that. Whoever wins, though, I think, and we have to be honest, particularly if it is Donald Trump, you will see Canadian officials. Perhaps it will happen quietly. A lot more of them heading to the United States. This work has been going on for months. This Team Canada approach that was really built during the first Trump administration, but there will be more leaning in as the results are known.
Thanks, Catherine. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Well, when we were talking to Noah, the 13-year-old, a little while ago, the young people are getting their information in very different ways, and maybe the three of us around the table here do. We're all on some of the social media, but we get it through traditional media for the most part. But I now want to reach out to someone else who is providing information on a platform that I'm not that familiar with. You may not be either. I don't know. Hassan Piker has been reaching thousands of young people through this election period. He's a left-leaning Twitch streamer with more than 2.7 million followers on the platform. Hassan, I think that 300,000 people are with you now. Is that right?
That's right. There's currently 300,000 people watching the live stream and listening to CBC Radio Election Night.
Well, hello to all of you. Glad to have you with us, and you as well. Hassan, it's a broad group of people, but what are you and your followers watching most closely tonight?
I am locked in on the blue wall, specifically Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin tonight. That is what I've been paying close attention to this entire time. I think the race is going to hinge on that. For the Canadians out there who don't know, we have a very weird system called the Electoral College. It's quite undemocratic, as a matter of fact. And these are the three states that Kamala Harris must win in order to secure a victory in the general election. She has to win these states to go over the 270 barrier.
You are reaching tens of thousands of young people. So a lot of Gen Z, or Gen Z, as we say up here in Canada, Gen Alpha. These are groups that politicians of all stripes are trying to get to listen to them, trying to reach. What do you think politicians are missing in their efforts to reach young people?
I think politicians everywhere, specifically in the Western world, are not really addressing a lot of the material inequalities and the harms that the younger generations are facing. I think that I speak for a lot of people when I say that if you're under the age of 35, the likelihood that you will retire at a reasonable age has become basically a dream. It's not going to happen. The likelihood that you'll ever own a home is seemingly also impossible. And I think that there's a major crisis there that no one seems to want to address. So in the absence of that, I think a lot of reactionary sentiment reaches to these vulnerable young men in particular and causes them to choose a right-wing slant. And we're kind of seeing that right now in at least the exit polls coming out of Michigan, where the majority of the young male voters in the state of Michigan are saying that they're actually in favor of Donald Trump in the 18 to 35 demographic. This is really dangerous for the future of not only this country, but for most other countries as well.
And Hassan, I introduced you as a left-leaning Twitch streamer. So I only say that because I want to ask you this question: is what are the issues, the people you're hearing from on your stream? What are the issues that they care a lot about?
Yeah. Can you hear me well, by the way? I might have changed my microphone.
I can. I think you just switched over
Yeah.
microphones. You sound great.
I did. Okay. So the question was, what are the issues that
what are you
young
hearing
people
from the people who follow you in terms of issues that they care about?
I would say that obviously abortion rights are a major problem here in the country. Our Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and abortion protections that we all took for granted. And beyond that, I think another very important issue is America's foreign policy, specifically as it pertains to Israel and Palestine. A lot of young people do care about that quite a bit. But outside of that, in terms of domestic issues, I think that healthcare is a major problem here in this country. Young people face the exact same problems that older generations face in terms of access to medical care. There's a massive divide in terms of like rural healthcare, for example. We have a lot of hospital closures happening in rural areas, and beyond that, we obviously still have an insane thing called medical debt in this country, and I think that's all because of private interests, and this is something that young people definitely care about. We have a crisis in terms of inflation. We have an affordability crisis, and more importantly than anything else, housing is a major problem.
All right, Hassan, we'll have to leave it there. Appreciate you so much for taking part in this tonight.
All right, thank you for having me.
That's Hassan Piker, a left-leaning Twitch streamer with 300,000 people watching that Twitch stream. You ever been on Twitch?
I'm still in here, but I'm muted
Answer
now.
that question.
Well, I wouldn't even know how to go on Rob Russo.
No.
All right, I'm out. They ended it. That was short, awkward. I mean, yeah. Thank you, Hassan, for doing this for my country. Yeah, you know, I try my best. All right, let's get back to the devastating consequences of running a objectively bad campaign. It wasn't awkward at all. I don't think it was awkward. I think chatters will consider it to be awkward because, you know, you just have to be short, clear, concise. Mic swap back, you're quiet. What do you mean? No, this is the microphone I was using. Oh no, did that thing happen where my microphone is now quieter than it was before? Oh no. I wonder if volume went down when you switched. Fuck. That literally is okay, I brought it up. I brought the gain up. Hopefully it'll fix itself. All right. No, they're fucking lying. I don't think anything changed. I think I'm looking at the audio levels. It is changing. So here it is. The Biden headwind hurting Harris tonight. Biden's approval rating 38.5%. Disapproval 56.3%. Seems to me like maybe she should have separated herself further from Joseph Robinette Brandon, the person that she replaced. The person that she replaced, remember, was as in there was such a major problem. There was such a major issue originally with Biden that Biden had to unceremoniously drop out and have Kamala Harris replace Windows sound suppression when joining calls. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You signed it tinny at first, but then switched and was all good. Appreciate you not mincing word. A lot of issues are shared between the countries. They had to get rid of you after you mentioned Palestine? No. Michigan is leading Trump now. I mean, if Pennsylvania is gone, then Michigan is gone too. I would doubt a system where like she ends up fucking. I doubt that she loses Pennsylvania and then keeps Michigan as well. CBC is very anti-Palestine. Okay, well, who knows? PA 3.1 to 2.8 are now. Kamala lost his election when she said she wouldn't have changed a single thing over the last 4 years. Georgia called for Trump. Decision Desk is projecting a Donald J. Trump victory in Georgia. Georgia had 3 million early votes. I expect to flip. I don't know about that. All right, let's do it. Let's bring him. Let's bring in Edinger Mentum real quick. Let's call him back up. Now that I talked to the communist nation of Canada. Hello, I'm back from my brief stint with the communist territories of Canada.
Yeah. I don't. Let me check what Georgia is, but the story here is very simple in Georgia, and it's you can say everybody say hello to Bobby in the background. That's my dog. She's a sweetheart. But what happened in Georgia is very similar to 2022 with the Warnock race, but in one direction. We see in the state that uh, Trump made gains in the rural areas, like Herschel Walker did. Senator Warnock managed to survive those gains by outperforming Biden in the entire metro area, both the suburbs and the inner city, by mid-single, high single digits. That was enough to get him to a 3-point win in the runoff. Kamala Harris, her margins in the metro area would have been enough for her to carry the state if she did not lose ground in the rural Georgia. If she did not lose ground across the state other than Atlanta. She lost ground in essentially everywhere in South Georgia, south of Atlanta. She was inconsistent in North Georgia, and I don't think that she is going to, did all that well in the small cities. It was a death by 1,000 cuts. It looks similar in North Carolina here. To the extent she has a path, it's by doing what she failed to do in Georgia and North Carolina, although I will say that these states are not called yet, where she's able to counteract Republican swings in rural Pennsylvania, Michigan, and seems to be Wisconsin, although only one county is done, and it's a Native American county. It was a
So
small
I have a
swing.
question for you, real quick.
Yeah.
So Kamala Harris's method of suburban turnout was a demonstrable fucking failure in Georgia.
Absolutely, absolutely,
an unimaginable failure. So the reason why, I mean, I don't want to do the "I told you so" route in this situation, not to you in particular.
We should.
But
we
but
can't do
like,
the "I told you so" route because we did. I was
because
trying to be bullish on her. I fundamentally believed in the world of 2022. I believe in the world where Americans, with given a generic Democrat, would choose them over Trump. We've seen that time and time again. We saw that in 2022. Democrats had the best midterm election since the Great Depression. But you can't fucking force it with your ideological, centrist, center-right, neocon preferences. You can't force this interventionist bullshit ideology down people's throats. You have to meet them where they are. You have to run somebody people see as a capable, charismatic leader. You can't be trying to fucking convince them to bring back the Iraq War era. They rejected that in 2008. You won off of a platform that said that we should spend money at home and not overseas. You get elected 12 years later off of a platform where you're saying we're going to create an interventionism of foreign policy for the middle class. Meet people where they are. They've clearly rejected you. Before Biden, who was the Senate Foreign Relations Committee who spearheaded the Iraq War resolution at the objection of every single Democrat who was around from the Kennedy era, they were every single president since 2004, when Bush barely won after 9/11, ran on an anti-interventionist platform. Obama ran out of pulling out of wars.
Donald
Obama
Trump
in 2012 ran out of not going to war with Russia.
Donald Trump
in
literally in
2016
Donald Trump in 2016 ran to the fucking left of Hillary Clinton, presenting himself as a peaceful dove to the Hillary Clinton's warmongering ways. This was massively beneficial in making him look like a moderate. Yes.
He was seen as a moderate. He was widely seen as a moderate. And the reason why Democrats came back in 2018, 2020, 2022, winning nearly every single state that matters, often by landslide margins, between 2016 and 2024, Democrats had not lost a meaningful statewide race in Pennsylvania. They had not lost a single statewide race in Michigan. They had not lost practically any meaningful statewide races in Wisconsin, besides 2022 when an incumbent, Ron Johnson, barely won against the leftist Mandela Barnes. They won both Senate seats in Georgia. They won the governor's race in North Carolina. They won both Senate seats in Arizona, both Senate seats in Nevada, the governor's race in Arizona. Their mainstream liberalism is a formula that wins when you run somebody who is seen as capable and competent. Americans don't want Trumpism. They rejected Trumpism for nearly a decade straight. But you can't beat Trumpism when you try to force these hated DC, Washington swamp psychos with negative 20 favorable and approval ratings down their throats because it's what you want. Because it's what they want. They want this center-right, Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney foreign policy. They want these wars overseas. They want this support for Israel. They want endless war everywhere. They want these endless commitments. They want American hegemony as the sole purpose of the American state. It's an ideology that has been rejected time and time and time again. And they can't get over it. And they're throwing us all off into the fucking abyss because they can't get over it. They need to grow up. They need to be rooted out, root and stem. That is our project. If she can't pull out a fucking miracle in these 3 Midwestern states off of abortion, if she can't pull a rabbit out of a goddamn hat, our project for the next 4 years is making it clear that the centrists were the ones who failed us. We gave them the ball. We gave them the ball in 2020. They promised they could be electable. They barely beat Trump. They came into office with massive public support after January 6th, and they failed time and time and time again. They ran an 80-year-old man for re-election. A hated 80-year-old man. They credited a midterm victory that was so clearly the result of people running away from Biden. Not a single person in the Democratic Party in 2022 ran on the Joe Biden platform. Everybody from Raphael Warnock to Gretchen Whitmer to John Fetterman did not run with Joe Biden. They didn't even say they supported him for re-election, and they won because people saw them as different. And then you run the person who they see as a failure, you're going to fail.
Yeah, there was no constituency, and not only was there never really a constituency, it was like a purely ideological grift from the Democratic Party. They just One thing that I think is really interesting about this is that they always claim that people like myself, people like yourself, are these like idealistic fucking losers who just want who want a unicorn, right? Like that's what Hillary Clinton said about Medicare for all. Oh, what's next? You want a unicorn? And it's like the things that we are advocating for are not only morally correct, but they're also massively beneficial in terms of the race, in terms of winning races. Even if you are not genuinely interested in pushing the needle towards like a more just society, towards expansion of Medicare in a very significant way, not like at-home care or whatever the fuck focus tested shit that Kamala Harris was pushing for, like
focus grouped shitty fucking things.
Even if that wasn't the case, like even if you weren't going to do that, like you couldn't even fucking lie about it, which blows my goddamn mind. Like at least fucking lie about it. And the fact that they chose not to even do that, the fact that they chose not to even dignify the base of support with lies to get them excited at the prospect like Barack Obama did in 2008 is genuinely shocking. We are not the idealists here.
We are the pragmatists.
Centrists, yes, we are pragmatic.
They are the fucking idealists. They are the ideologues. They are the people doing what they accuse the left of, where they prioritize their bullshit ideological crusades over pragmatic winning and stopping fascism. These people prioritized their stupid fucking neocon bullshit over actually doing what needed to be done.
Yeah,
they prioritized it at every fucking turn.
We also have some more damning news from David Dayen. House is starting to slip away from the Dems. This result in what was considered a safe seat in Illinois is the big shocker so far, with Joshua Lloyd with 72% of the votes in. The Republican candidate is clobbering Nikki Budzinski.
Yeah, even the hope that existed under Biden that there would be some degree of separation between a generic liberal, someone like Bob Casey or Tammy Baldwin or any of these House members who won in 2022, they would be like separated from the Biden administration, something that made sense in theory, did not work in this high turnout electorate. When you have these low information voters, these low engagement voters, the kinds of voters who only show up every 4 years for presidential races and don't show up in special elections and runoffs and all these other races, when you have these voters showing up here, they just see the Democrat on the ticket as one and the same with his administration that they despise.
Yeah, but listen, you want to know what the silver lining in all of this is? Kamala
we
Harris.
just-
Kamala Harris wanted to appoint a Republican to her cabinet, and honestly, now it's going to be all Republicans, and it seems like Democrats love that shit. So
Yeah,
that's
they'll
good.
be fine. You're happy. You wanted Liz Cheney running the CIA. You're gonna get more than enough of that.
Yeah.
The thing is with this, after 2016 was a legitimate upset. 2016 was something that was truly surprising. We didn't see it coming. Clinton was a very popular politician at some points in her career. She had the backing of this political machine that had won countless times. Trump was this person with minus 40% personal favorables. He was rejected by his party. Less than a month before the election, you had all these establishment figures who were telling him to drop out of the race. It was a legitimate question as to why he won. There were legitimate things Democrats needed to do. There wasn't a clear path forward because the party had been losing under Obama since 2010. They got blown out in 2010. They got blown out in 2014. They got killed in all these races leading up to 2016. What we have now, we have a party that is
Baczynski is
largely,
up, by the way. Sorry to cut you off, but that was error in reporting, data entry error. Baczynski is actually up.
Yeah, but the thing is, the difference between this and 2016
And she won.
is that after 2016, reasonable people could disagree on what the proper path forward is. Centrists had a legitimate case that they had a perfectly viable, even the most viable ideology electorally, and that they had just been they just happened to run this person who was corrupt and personally unpopular, and it fucked them. They run Biden.
It doesn't make any sense. Biden, Kamala Harris would not be running for Kamala Harris would not be the presidential candidate right now if Joseph Robinette Brandon was not so unimaginably unpopular that he had to do the unceremonious, unique thing of dropping the fuck out. Why the fuck would you spend any of your truncated campaign running towards the fucking unpopular person? Why would you keep that unpopular person's own? Why would you keep his campaign? Why would you keep his campaign? Why would you run towards him? Why would you consistently say you are going to be just like him? But
they sacrificed our future on the altar of their fucking petulant, childish fetish towards Joe Biden. They sacrificed a clear path towards winning that we've seen be successful time and time and time again because they didn't want to admit that they did something wrong, even when the signs were clear every single step of the way. They were children. They were childish. They chose their feelings over what could have been done to easily be successful. People don't like Donald Trump. They've never liked Donald Trump. There's not been a single moment of this man's career that he has ever had personal positive favorability. That has never been the case for any national politician of his length of his career before. But he's probably going to be a two-term president because they insist on their fucking ideological centrist bullshit.
There's still people in the chat going, bro, shut the fuck up. Joe beat Trump when no one else could in 2020. 42,000 votes, by the way.
4.5 during COVID.
42,000 votes over Donald Trump, who got COVID literally a week before, like the Comey letter. When COVID was like the top of mind, number one priority, Donald Trump literally got COVID right before the fucking election. Like,
he beat him by 40,000 votes.
He beat him by 42,000 votes.
During a generational public health crisis.
Yeah, no, it's it is unimaginably infuriating to watch the Democrats throw so fucking consistently and so aggressively. And I know for a fact tomorrow's headlines are going to be that like those stinky Muslim Arabs didn't fucking vote for the Democratic Party. Are you happy now? How many of you voted for Jill Stein or whatever?
He's getting
the fuck?
less than 1%.
Yeah. I know. They're gonna get. I think that in the aftermath of this, like depolarization of racial boundaries, Democrats are gonna run an increasingly more racist campaign than the one that they ran this time around. If they don't get their fucking act in order, if they continue along the same trajectory, they will somehow, in the eve of the Republican Party's collapse, literally offer them permanent victory. Like the Republican Party is supposed to be collapsing in the aftermath of Roe v. Wade, in the aftermath of Trumpism. And they did. They did collapse. The Democratic Party as a machine and the Democratic Party as a party is not unpopular. It's just that the leadership decisions being made from the campaign has been objectively unpopular. Every single time I asked myself and I asked this community, who is this for? Whenever Kamala Harris came out and said, oh, I'm going to do a $50,000 tax cut for small businesses. I'm a small business. My mother was a small business. I'm a transnational gang and I will prosecute them. I was like, who is this
I'm
for?
from a middle class family.
Yeah, I'm from a middle class
God,
family.
isn't that
I said,
amazing?
who's this for? Who is this for? Is that for you? No? Then stop imagining that it's actually for someone else. It's just objectively bad fucking messaging. Okay?
Yeah, and you know what? We saw politicians in this race who were unconnected from the Biden administration. We have Ruben Gallego running against Kerry Lake, who's essentially a Trump clone. He's up by 7 points. We're probably going to see Jackie Rosen in Nevada win. She's not even a fucking leftist. She's a Zionist. She's insanely Zionist. We have Sherrod Brown in Ohio, who's outrunning her by God knows how much. We have, like, even the shitty CIA politician who's running for Senate in Michigan is outrunning her. The two incumbents in Pennsylvania and Michigan are outrunning her. There's a constituency here who are perfectly willing to vote for Democrats. They just don't want to vote for an administration that they've seen as a failure since the fall of Kabul. And like, people will fucking, like, Hillary, they'll crucify me for saying this, but, like, I don't entirely blame them. I get it. Biden looked inept. Kamala Harris is an inexperienced politician. She's only been in elected office since 2016 nationally. She's won 2 races against Republicans, one of which when she ran for president, there was a moment of excitement that she could break from him, that she could represent something new, maybe
Yeah,
a more
that moment
left-wing
of excitement came with almost $1 billion in fundraising from small donors, and they literally looked at that and were like, all right, we're good now.
Yeah, I don't get why they picked fucking walls. What was the point of that? Why'd you do that?
Exactly. Remember when the vice presidential debate was happening, or even leading up to that, when they objectively moved to a attack to the center, attack to the right strategy, as they always do.
Yeah.
I said, why the fuck didn't you pick Josh Shapiro? He would have been better. He would have been
would've helped
better
you
than
in
Tim Walz.
Pennsylvania.
If you were going to go to the center, then yeah, go with the conservative governor from the state of Pennsylvania. You get a 2-point bump regardless, because he's the governor of the fucking state that you have to win. And on
It's
top
more
of that,
consistent. He loves Israel. He was a former IDF member. He loves charter schools.
yeah.
He's not like he
And,
doesn't have any.
more
left-wing
importantly, he would have been a
inclination.
better communicator. He could have done the fucking Barack Obama thing that he does all the time, and he would have been a better communicator of like the tepid neoliberalism of Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
I don't know why they
running
went
that
with Tim
a
Walz,
fucking,
who
like a progressive. It doesn't make any sense.
yes,
They
of
neutered
course
him.
I said Walz was good. Chatters, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
Walz
Walz is a
would've won.
fucking gem. Are you stupid? Tim Walz, if he was at the top of the ticket right now, this would not even be a conversation that we're having. Tim Walz is a
would be
gem.
winning.
The
He was
problem
the
is,
sole candidate in this entire race who had positive personal favorables.
yeah, the only they wasted it. They wasted his opportunity. They literally turned around and backpocketed him, and they forced him to fucking repeat talking points that were coming from the top of the ticket. And yeah, you can. I said it time and time again. Tim Walz, when he talks about like giving people health care, when he talks about housing, you can see how hard he pops off. When he talks about like, you know, Israel's first strike policy against Iran, he's like, he sounds like a fucking asshole in a suit, just like everyone else. Josh Shapiro at least would have been a more charismatic facilitator of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He literally would have done
Josh
a better
Shapiro
job
would've
than Tim
won.
Walz to be like, yeah, I would love to fucking nuke Iran, or I would love to have a muscular border policy. Tim Walz sucked at that.
I wouldn't like, yeah, like I'm not too fucking proud. I'm not going to say some bullshit like you have to run a fucking socialist in every election to win. You just have to run somebody who looks competent. Josh Shapiro won in Pennsylvania against a Trump toady by 15 points. This isn't complicated. We don't need like some fucking magic sauce. We just need somebody who's capable of like looking like they can govern the country. Not this fucking old man, 81-year-old failure who's been in Washington since the Nixon administration. Not his unqualified running mate who's done nothing and nobody knows and refused to make a clear profile for herself.
I don't care about that. Like Kamala Harris being a blank slate is not necessarily an issue when generic Democrats were like outperforming Joe Biden by 28 points. Kamala Harris is the generic Democrat. The problem is, but as a generic Democrat, she had a fucking blank slate. She had a blank slate, and instead of instead of messaging specifically to specifically communicating a direct fissure between her and the administration that she was a part of, whether it be on Gaza or even on immigration, or even like expanding on the former accomplishments of the prior administration and saying we've done a lot, but we have so much more to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and talk about like expanding fucking Medicare or something.
Medicare for all. The thing she endorsed.
I know. Medicare for all would have been an absolute banger. She wouldn't have looked like a fucking flip-flopper from 2019 when everyone was trying to be woke and radical and progressive instead of running away from all of those messages. But even if she's not going to do that, at least say at least do the Sherrod Brown thing. Say you're going to lower the Medicare age to 55. That's radical enough for a lot of Americans to fucking get mad at you. But
enough of a difference. It's a meaningful enough difference from your shitty policy, your shitty administration. It's so frustrating because I would love to say that this is because they weren't left-wing enough. I would love to say they just have to endorse all of my own personal policies. They just have to back what I like and what I personally back, and they'd be A-okay. But it's not that. It's not that complicated. It's not that elaborate or that esoteric. This is a very easy opposition. It's an opposition that had lost for nearly a decade. They had only managed to win against incredibly unpopular DC-aligned Democrats, and lo and behold, that's exactly what you gave them for the third time in a row. You barely lost the first time you did it, barely won the second time. Now you're probably going to lose by more the third time. It's not rocket science. It's not complicated. They just refuse to acknowledge the reality staring them in the face.
All right. So the question is it Jover? Also, the Senate is officially flipped. Sherrod Brown, speaking of Sherrod Brown, has lost to fucking Bernie Moreno.
Didn't need to happen. Probably is going to outrun her by a shit ton.
Bernie fucking Moreno, dude. Bernie Moreno.
Art dealer who's done every form of fraud on planet Earth.
And also a closeted gay man.
Yes, I said DL Moreno.
Yeah.
DL Vance.
Yeah, he is a closeted gay man who was like super pro gay rights, and then immediately, as soon as he fucking flipped over to the Republican side, became like an anti-trans nutter. Okay, straight up, like there is mountains of opposition research on this motherfucker, and he wasn't even like the best slated to win this seat from the Ohio primaries. They just
He was the worst performing candidate in the Ohio primaries. He was losing the entire way through. He was losing when Biden was in the race. I mean, certainly the polling was probably wrong there. It was probably the case that the polls were only reaching a group of voters who were more likely to be ticket splitters, and they missed the low information voters who only turn out during presidential races, who only vote party line. That was what happened in 2020 to a degree, although it didn't cost them everything. It very nearly did. So polling has a bit of an issue here. Polling really did show this degree of Democratic strength against Kamala that either wasn't the case or that the candidate at the top of the ballot being connected to the administration just fucked them up. The question now at this point is if Baldwin and Casey can win. That's not a guarantee. And we need them at this point it's are Democrats in a position to maybe possibly win back the Senate in 2026? Because if Kamala can't pull a rabbit out of the hat here, Trump is gonna if he wins, he's gonna have the Senate. He's gonna be able to replace Alito and Thomas with his own people. The contradictions have been completely heightened here. There is no possibility of a traditional reform through the system. We're not going to be able to just bide our time and win every election for the next 10 years and hope things fall into place. We're going to need radical court reform if there's going to be anything done. We're going to need some really, really a huge reform of the DNC that's put together so they can actually appeal to people instead of trying to prioritize their Cheneyite crusades over everything else that's going on. I hope that I wish there could be a middle ground. I really did. I thought there maybe could be a middle ground, but there just wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's
Nate
nothing we
Cohn,
don't
for the
already
first time
know.
tonight, Nate Cohn says, for the first time tonight, we consider Trump likely to win the presidency. He's an advantage in each Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin to win. Harris would need to sweep all three. There's still a lot of vote left, but in the voting so far, Trump is narrowly but discernibly ahead.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, like Shai is saying, she's just underrunning Biden across the board, no matter the demographic. It's a shift away from her. There are some demographics where this is more pronounced. There are some demographics where it's lessened. There are some areas, some suburban areas, where she's doing a little bit better than him. But the general story is this is an unpopular administration. This is an largely unpopular, inexperienced candidate people didn't know. And this is an environment in which people were very unsatisfied with the direction of the country, and the candidate who maybe might have been in a position to possibly represent change only did so in the most abstract sense instead of meeting stuff directly.
Looks like Kamala Harris will not win the south end of Dearborn, an area 90+% Muslim that Biden won with 88% of the vote 4 years ago. I wonder how that happened. Maybe we shouldn't have fucking sent Richie Torres and then Bill Clinton to Michigan to be like, Arabs are dogs that need to be put down. It seems like that was a bad.
Lose by so much that the Arab vote didn't make the difference. So
by the
they
way,
can't blame it on.
Yeah, there's also that too. But here's the issue. It's not like this is fucking hindsight, you know? This is foresight. This is just sight. Like, these are all of the specific things that we yelled about for years, but especially, more importantly, in this last election cycle. It was just like, and everybody kept telling me I'm fucking wrong. Everybody was like, no, you don't understand. They have a method to this madness. Like, there's adults in the room. I'm sure they know better. And I kept saying, like, in 2016, they didn't know better.
Yeah, I wrote like in April 2023, before Biden announced his campaign, that 2022 put them in a good position to win, but this administration, and Joe Biden in particular, was just so unpopular and toxic that I think the West Coast just came in. The polls just closed in California and Washington. Adam Schiff is going to be the new senator.
I know. I can't wait. I voted for him on stream, and I was like, this motherfucker is going to put me in jail one day when, like, Chuck Schumer's anti-Semitism bill comes into effect if the Democrats win. But now he can still vote to put me in jail as a Democrat after I voted for him.
God, they're going to have the fucking Senate, the lame duck Biden administration with the Senate majority and with the president-elect Trump, and they use that time to pass the anti-Semitism bill. That's a perfect end to all this. God. It's just not. You shouldn't have run a 78-year-old man. You shouldn't have run a 78-year-old man who was wrong on every single policy position and for his entire life. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah, the I told you so it just rings so fucking hollow because I just know that the Democrats are probably actively strategizing on how to fucking create a tailor-made message as to why, like, somehow I was responsible and people like me were responsible for them fucking losing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
this was like, it felt like compelling and new, like fucking like 8 years ago. Like, oh my God, you guys won under Obama twice, but it turns out centrism actually isn't good. What an amazing concept. Who could have ever thought? God, he's going to probably win the popular vote.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was I said that was likely regardless. But I still thought that, like, the fucking suburb vote would be holding through, you know?
The thing is that if the country voted like the suburbs did, if the country voted like the entire country voted like the Atlanta suburbs, if the entire country voted like these, like, specific areas in Virginia and like Wisconsin and like North Carolina, if the whole country voted like that, she probably ends up winning. The thing is, the country just didn't end up voting like that. The country didn't do that. The country didn't, like, there was everywhere besides the suburbs moved away from 2020. Everywhere besides the suburbs moved to the right. The rural areas, the urban areas, New York, everything from New York City to fucking like rural Indiana and Kentucky, like, moved to the right. And if you're not putting up like massive margins that, like, and it counteract that, which she didn't do, you're not going to win. you can't win. You can't win with that. And now we're
Yeah.
probably in a situation where Trump's going to win all the 7 swing states. Polly Market was right. Like, God, the polling was right. Guess we can go forward like fucking worshiping Atlas Intel.
Okay, I don't give a fuck about the pollsters and how
Yeah.
correct they were. I don't care that they were correct in their analysis, because regardless of what they were saying, there's still a likelihood that they also predicted that this was a close enough race where Kamala Harris could still win the Electoral College. And
I think
right
that's
now it's just
fair.
looking increasingly less likely, directly as a consequence of like how horrible she's performing in the areas that she was supposed to be performing in. I don't think it's going to be able to make up with the mail-in voters.
No, not election day voters, whatever. Like, it is death by 1,000 cuts. Like, just looking at Georgia, she did like relatively okay in the Atlanta area, but just like, you can't survive the rest of the entire state moving away from you by as much as it does. God, she's probably going to only win New Jersey by 7.
Yeah, I saw something earlier. Oh, this is it. This is the one. Kamala Harris with 95% of precincts reporting is polling at 67.8% of the vote in New York City. If that holds, that would be the worst performance for a Democratic presidential candidate in the 5 boroughs since 1988.
Remember when
Disastrous.
fucking like Kathy Hochul said, like, I'm the fucking boss, I'm gonna win all these seats.
Yeah, it's like they looked at 2022, they looked at the worst performing aspects of 2022, which was New York, and they literally were like, let's nationalize that strategy. Let's tap to the center. Let's do the crime panic shit that was a demonstrable failure in New York in 2022 in the midterms. That and let's just do that on a national campaign. This is why I always told my chat, Democrats do not fucking learn lessons. They never learned the lesson from 2016. They never learned that lesson. There was a brief progressive momentum in the Trump administration because, like, obviously they were falling apart so disastrously, so spectacularly that, like, there were a lot of victories, a lot of races that were secured by, like, the Justice Democrats or groups like that, but ultimately, this was very closely resembling a 2016 run in many respects, with not as an unpopular candidate with Kamala Harris. Like, at least she didn't have. You talked about Hillary Clinton's like electoral successes, but like at least she didn't have conspiracy theories and all of the other shit, all the other undesirable shit that was associated with the Clintons in general, or even NAFTA, right? Like, she didn't have any of that baggage. But even then, she still desperately tacked to Joe Biden over and over again.
It was like she was explicitly saying shit like, the vice president can't break from the president. That's not what we can do. Why not? Why can't you break from the fucking president? Nobody likes him. You're trying to win the election, aren't you? Maybe you're not. Maybe you don't give a fuck about that. Like, Jesus Christ. It's just like these imaginary rules they placed around themselves where it's like so impossible to ever imagine like fucking doing anything meaningful to break from Biden, while like everything else can be compromised on. Anti-interventionism can be compromised.
No. You can break from the president when you're Joe Biden and you're breaking in the right-wing direction. That's the only way that you can break. Chuck Todd blames Latinx for Democratic losses among Hispanics. Yeah, dude, that's right. There was not a single fucking campaign message that had Latinx on it. Shut the fuck up,
Joe Biden
dumbass.
hasn't said Latinx since 2020.
Yes, Joe Biden ended this fucking woke shit, like, literally. He's 800 years old. He's barely stopping himself from saying fucking slurs, okay? There was no identity politics anywhere in this fucking campaign.
Yeah,
even
she
though
never
the media
talked about how she would be the first woman president. They praised Kamala Harris for breaking from identity politics.
I praise Kamala Harris for not doing that. It was smart. It was a smart thing to do.
It was the consensus. This was the consensus. The consensus was that, like,
this is a right-wing slant. They're doing it already. They're like, oh, the Democrats were too woke. That's why they lost. They need to be more fascist.
Yeah, see, this is what I hate. And I wrote about this. I wrote 2 articles at the end of the election. I wrote an explanation for why Trump loses. I wrote an explanation for why Kamala loses, and I blamed it mostly on Biden. Every time there's a result, people always say shit like this. If Kamala won, they would have been saying shit like, oh, she won because she broke from wokeism and she was so fucking smart to do that. But now that she loses, like, fucking, like, it's because she was too woke. You can't win. You can't fucking win. We did what you guys wanted to do since 2020. This is where it gets us. You're not that fucking smart.
Look, they're doing it. They're doing it. Open letter to Democrats. Spending 4 years defending trans issues was a huge loser. Oh my God. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. They're so dumb. Everyone is so fucking
They didn't
stupid.
defend it.
No, the Democratic Party is literally the same as the Republican Party on this issue where you know how the Republicans say like, oh, what's the solution to gun violence? More guns, more of the same problem. The Democrats look at the problem where they do not actually have a competitive race where they showcase any sort of polarization from the Republicans. They literally run towards the Republicans. They want to hug and kiss them. And then they turn around and go, you know what was the problem? We didn't go right enough.
Yeah, that's the only fucking conclusion they can come to. Like the shit, like saying up to 2024, you had it so there was not a single Republican who ran on trans panic that did well. You had fucking Andy Beshear in Kentucky who ran on saying that these Republicans are bullying
The most popular
children.
governor in this in the country.
Yeah, Andy Beshear, who they passed on, like, whatever. I don't even know what point I'm making there. But Andy Beshear in Kentucky, like, he said they're bullying children. They're bullying children. That's what they're doing. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not playing your games.
Tim Walz,
Told
also
to
very
apologize.
popular, also pro-trans.
Yeah.
It does not fucking matter. The trans panic shit does not track. It doesn't fucking matter. All you're doing is exposing yourself when you talk about shit like this. All you're doing is exposing yourself as someone who really cares about it, okay? The Democrats did not run a fucking pro-trans campaign. What the fuck are we talking about? They literally were beating the Republicans by 16 points.
They made tweets saying that Trump was more pro-trans than them.
Yeah. And they were still beating the Republicans by 16 points on that because the Republicans were fucking constantly clobbering on the trans issues when no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. Stop fucking hyper focusing on shit that Republicans are putting in front of you, please. Like they are so motivated by
trans shit is the reason why you were competitive in this race. You lost because you wouldn't break away from your fucking comfort character.
Yeah, it's just. I mean,
This
it's
is
not.
the
It's not
worst
just Joe
part of it.
Biden. It's not. It's
The
not
worst
just Joe
part
Biden. It's like I think Kamala Harris is a fucking adult. I think she is a human being who is 60 fucking years old. Like she is. Yeah, I cannot in good conscience say that it's just because of Joe Biden. I think Kamala Harris had the worst fucking political instincts.
She came into a bad situation. Sure, I was willing to say that it was an unprecedentedly bad situation. No nominee had ever dropped out and forced somebody to come in as late as they did. But you know what? Nobody forced her to run. You could have had an open convention where fucking any number of your fucking glup shittos could have gotten the nomination and would have probably done really well. There were polls that had Josh Shapiro up by 10 points in Pennsylvania. Governor Whitmer in Michigan was winning by 5-7 points in Michigan. All these are states that she's probably going to lose. She was the one who made the party consolidate around her. She's the one who prioritized her own fucking ambitions over, like, actually beating this shit. We have to compromise for them on the most bullshit things while they can fucking throw whatever our priorities are out the window.
Yeah. And by the way, our priorities are not just our priorities. Like, is not when I advocate for Medicare for all, I'm not just doing it because like I'm selfishly wanting healthcare for myself. Like, I think it's also a very popular policy. That's why I'm advocating for it. And it plays well. It polls incredibly fucking well. It's just so goddamn frustrating that they refuse to do this shit. Anyway, here's what NBC anchor just noticed. A memo from the Harris campaign is almost verbatim what Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign had sent, urging panic against. We're focused on the blue wall, which is here. I'm going to read it now. In Pennsylvania, we overperformed turnout expectations in Philly and overperformed our early vote expectations in Bucks County. We don't have election day results from Philadelphia, but we do know that we overperformed turnout expectations there and have seen especially high turnout in places with large non-white and student populations. You did not deserve those votes. You got them regardless. You got them in spite of your campaign, for the record. Anyway, You got
wanna
them
know
because
what?
those people were anti-Trump and they wanted to punish Trump for abortion restrictions.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on from that. But
Yeah, you
regardless,
want to know what? I'm gonna go into some deep lore. You guys ever like any of you people who like me live in a swing state, one of these 7 fucking states where they spend all their money? You guys probably saw some ads by a firm named Future Forward. This was the dominant ad, not just in the Democratic messaging world, but in the entire Democratic Party. What they said went as practically gospel for everything that they did. They had $600 million, largely from venture capitalist firms, and they were run by a firm named Blue Rose Politics, run by a man named David Shore. David Shore is somebody who, in early 2021, said he would rather live in a world where the global climate increased by 4 points Celsius than one where China was a global hegemon. He's a center-rightist, and his message to the entire party was that if they didn't do exactly what he said and brought back Clintonism, that they would lose Trump would win the election with 60 seats. Then 2022 happens. He's proven completely wrong. Democrats gain seats. They lose only 1 swing state and by a narrow margin. But instead of throwing this guy out for getting practically everything wrong his entire career, writing shit that is used as a justification for every single anti-trans bill that is passed in the United States, being ostensibly cited by the American Principles Project, which were the people that pushed the anti-trans panic for years, they put him in charge of the largest super PAC in the United States. He was the person who was running this campaign. This is his fault. He is who was too clever by half and threw us all in the fucking abyss because they cared more about being center right than winning. They would rather have a right-wing Democratic Party than a Democratic Party in power.
I'm glad that we sent Richie Torres to Michigan. I think that was a really good idea.
Sending an 80-year-old Bill Clinton talking about Judea and Samaria and King David?
No, you don't understand. That was a sound decision. These guys
You
are.
know what they were doing with that? That was a totem because David Shore said, "Oh, you know what? I thought that being more left-wing was a really good idea back in 2012, but I eventually learned that all the Clinton people were actually right because they were anti-wokeness. They brought out this corpse that nobody likes, this serial rapist going around the country saying bullshit about Zionism and how evil Hamas is in the closest election in a fucking generation." Because it was it was proof to the world that they were not like fucking like lefties. That's what they cared about.
Hey, Atlas Intel, Harris versus Trump in swing states. Trump is leading Harris in every swing state. Nice.
Yeah, these guys, you know what? These guys probably got it right. I thought they were fucking annoying. They didn't understand politics. Thought they were putting out fake surveys. They're probably going to be pretty close to reality.
69 Wisconsin, 68 Pennsylvania leaning right, 67 Michigan, Nevada.
It's funny that it's not like totally over, but it's like it's over.
I mean, the only path for success out of this is just like if there is this massive fucking Hail Mary and the youth voters like still ended up carrying the Democratic Party to a victory that they did not deserve, that they desperately actually they desperately pushed young voters away, sometimes directly arresting them, sometimes calling them fucking Klansmen, like in terms of the pro-Palestinian campus protesters and shit. And they probably still sucked it the fuck up and went out and voted. But ultimately these results they're not looking too good. I think it's all in on Pennsylvania at this point, and I don't know what it looks like. Do you have any performance updates for Pennsylvania?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Times has all those states, like you said, it's 65, 70% Trump. I think Pennsylvania just kind of fell back in the toss-up status. I mean, like, I guess maybe if like the final votes here are like really, really, really good for her, like beyond anything we've really seen anywhere else, maybe these could break her way. But like, it's like
Forecaster Enton in Pennsylvania now, there are 23 counties where 95 plus of the vote is in. Trump needs to do 1.2 points better than last time around to win statewide. In the counties where 95% of the vote is in, he's doing 2.5 points better than his 2020 total.
Yeah, it's not like it's super impressive. He just is just you had in 2020, you had an unpopular Trump who was seen as running an administration who was a failure, against a Democrat who was largely liked. The Democrat who was largely liked barely wins. And like now you're at the point like you have that Democrat is wildly unpopular, governs over years and years of like economic depression. And like
I mean,
it's just a simple
in the
story.
off chance that she pulls a Hail Mary out of this, like out of the mail-in voters and I don't know, and some of the districts that she's some of the districts with like extra turnout, and it's not like fucking Trump supporters that are coming in from these college towns, then then maybe the Democrat or maybe the Republicans will choose to abolish the Electoral College, so that's cool.
Yeah, I guess that'd be fun.
Yeah,
Literally,
if the Democrats win the Electoral College and lose a popular vote, as I said could likely happen,
that'd be awesome.
I think the Republicans will try to abolish it, which will be cool.
Yeah, it's just like this isn't like a 2016 thing where it's like this is so out of left field and what do we do next? It's just so predictable. It's just so predictable. It's like Keir Starmer becoming unpopular. Like we've been through this before. It was novel the first time. It was like really confusing and we didn't know what to do. But it's been like 10 years. We've beaten these people pretty thoroughly, like a bunch of times.
Like, AOC's outperforming Kamala in New York 14. AOC has 68% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 65% of the vote.
God. I don't even know if like Democrat. You know what? I shit on Cook Political Report for like having fucking like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania as toss-ups, but like that was probably real. That was real. You know what? I tip my cap. I'm not going to doubt them anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive back into the commentary from NBC News.
Kind of address here tonight, regardless of where we are on the path to 275.
I feel like they're excited. I don't see them dooming and glooming. I feel like they're excited, fantasizing about like what kind of ratings the Trump administration is going to bring.
White House veterans, I believe we have them right now. Oh, not yet. We're going to go to that they're coming up.
We're going to go to Peter Alexander.
Peter Alexander.
Like I feel like I'm way more upset about the Democratic Party's performance so far than fucking NBC News is. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Yeah, well, I always defer to the Pod Save America guys. If they want to go, you'll let me know when they're ready. But we are waiting to hear, of course, from Kamala Harris at some point over the course of this evening. No indication when that would happen. Some early indications it might happen in the course of this hour. No confirmation on that at this time. We'll keep you posted as we know. I will tell you, though, in the course of the last 15 minutes, NBC News did obtain a memo that was sent out by the chair of the Harris campaign, Jen O'Malley Dillon, the woman who orchestrated Joe Biden's victory in 2020. This was sent to staff, and it gives you a sense of where they are heading into this evening. They expect nothing will be determined until late into the night, and certainly they say they're going to be at this again tomorrow. But as she notes in this memo again, she says that they have always said that the clearest path to 270 electoral votes lies through the blue wall states. And here's what she says specifically about Pennsylvania. She says that we overperformed turnout expectations in Philadelphia and overperformed in our early vote expectations in Bucks County, one of those key collar counties, those key suburbs of Philadelphia. She says we don't have election day results from Philadelphia, but we do know that we overperformed turnout expectations there and have seen especially high turnout in places with non-white and student populations. One thing they're keeping a close eye on right now. About Michigan particularly, they say the city of Detroit won't be reporting out until roughly midnight, but that they have seen strong turnout from early vote and election day voting in other parts of the state. And finally, in Wisconsin, where they're keeping a close eye on that blue wall, that they do not expect complete results from Wisconsin until tomorrow morning between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. But the biggest takeaway perhaps from this memo is the sense that as as the chips start falling, it appears that they are leaning heavily into the blue wall, which started and may be ending as their best path to victory here. In spite of some numbers that show they still have some ground to make up, there's still a lot of data out there. And that's where, at least according to her memo, which effectively said goodbye to the staff for the night, said we'll do it again late into the night and start again strong in the morning. That's where they are as this night heads toward midnight.
All right, Peter, thank you. Now, without further ado, let's go to the hosts of Pod Save America, Democrats John Lovett and Dan Pfeiffer, both White House veterans. And Dan, I know you to be a number cruncher.
Let's
and
hear
I wonder what
the
you're thinking about the numbers that you're seeing. You just heard what the Harris campaign is saying, but the vibe check is that this path is narrowing significantly and that it's blue wall or bust at this point for Kamala Harris.
What's the point?
Yeah, that seems right. And you look at the numbers, it's very clear that Trump is overperforming in rural counties, and Harris is overperforming in suburban counties. And what is going to be the deciding factor here is primarily going to be what is the turnout and the vote margins coming out of Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Detroit. And if they are what we think they are, then she has a very clear, albeit narrow, but clear path to be the next president of the United States.
John, let me ask you about what we've been observing. Young voters, particularly male voters, who seem to be breaking for Trump and, in fact, winning the youth vote, according to our exit polls. Does that surprise you? What's your take on that dynamic?
That would be surprising. I think that's another reason to drink. But I do think that I think
drinking
it's
alone,
pretty
John.
early. I think that's fine. That's fine. I think it's pretty early to be drawing conclusions based on the exits and trying to figure out what happened with specific demographics. I think where we're at is this was always going to be close. It is close right now. I think there was some hope based on vibes that perhaps this wouldn't be as close based on some late polling and some late momentum and a terrible event at Madison Square Garden. Could we hope that maybe this night wouldn't be as long? And the answer is no. The polls largely were showing a very tight race, and that's what we're kind of living through.
Dan, do you think it will ultimately come down to Pennsylvania? I mean, that certainly has been what's been telegraphed for all of these months.
It is the essential state because if Georgia and North Carolina, she does not win, and there's still a lot of outstanding vote in Georgia. It's once again a narrow path. But if those do not end up in her column, there is no math without Pennsylvania. You can replace Wisconsin with Arizona. You can replace Michigan with Arizona and Wisconsin, but you need Pennsylvania, and so it will come down to Pennsylvania.
All right, Dan Pfeiffer, John Lovett, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
And we have another call to make. I believe we're going to get a state of Washington presidential call. Let's see where we are. NBC News now projecting that Kamala Harris will win the 12 electoral votes in the state of Washington. Here's how it breaks down right now, a difference of about 472,000, 473,000 votes. In the road to 270, that leaves Harris with 165, 214.
I stand by this, and it's going to come across as silly when I say this, but she should have 100% at least sent Tim Walz on Joe Rogan if she wasn't going to go on Joe Rogan.
Sarah Fagan, a former aide to George W. Bush. Mike, first of all, give me your thoughts here. We've had no calls in battleground states so far. Is this a matter of viewing pieces through a microscope right now to try to understand where this is going?
Well, it sounds that way from the Harris campaign, but I want to stick with the vibe comment that John Lovett just made, because I really do think that what we're seeing now is this coming to fruition, this vibe versus issues election that we've had. The Harris campaign really put on the vibes, the joy, and all of that. And I think the Trump campaign tried to stick to issues, immigration, inflation, instability around the world. And if you look at the exit polls that you all have been talking about today, you really see that Americans think that the country's on the wrong track. We think the economy, we were better off 4 years ago than we are today. And when you look at the way Harris tried to distance herself from Biden, I think this all came down to whether she'd be successful with that, and it looks like she wasn't.
Hey, Mike, let me just ask you to bear with me for a second, because we have another projection we're going to put up here on the screen. And this is the state of Connecticut. NBC News projecting that Kamala Harris will win in Connecticut when all the votes are counted. 7 electoral votes. There's the breakdown right now.
We're
about
back,
a 10
boys.
point difference between the two of them. And here's where it takes us, the road to 270. Donald Trump standing at 214.
She only has like
Harris
100 more
now with
fucking votes to make
172
up.
electoral votes. We'll get back to our conversation. Sarah, let me turn to you. You've heard a little bit about this memo now with this campaign memo. What do you make of it?
Well, I think it's a campaign doing what it can to try to keep hope alive. You know, look, I don't see any good news for Democrats in these results. Donald Trump is running about a point or a point and a half ahead of where he was in 2020. And in these counties, in these blue wall counties that 75% of the vote is in. And Kamala Harris is running behind in these urban areas by 1 or 2 points compared to where President Biden performed. You look at that coupled with Donald Trump's overperformance with Hispanic voters, with young voters. I don't think they have a lot to hang their hat on. It's not over. There's votes to be counted. We should point out that these blue wall states tend to be red mirage. You know, they go red and then they tend to go, the race narrows as these big urban areas come in later. But when you just look at the underperformance of Kamala Harris and the overperformance of Trump, it's going to be pretty hard, I think, for her to catch him.
Yeah, the Harris team is saying they believe they overperformed in Philadelphia. Does that give you pause?
I don't see where they're saying that. Now, they're looking, I'm sure, at precinct analysis, and we're looking at a county total, so we should give that caveat. But, you know, Joe Biden got 80% of the vote in Philadelphia County, and she's not running at 80%. I think the last I looked was at 77 or 78%. So that's a pretty significant difference when a race is as close as it is.
All right, Sarah and Mike, thanks to both of you. Tom Yamas has more from the big board on Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia, but I also want to give us just sort of a vibe check of where we are. It is still very early in the night, right? And even though people may be claiming they've won certain states yet, we still haven't called any of the battlegrounds here at NBC News. And a reminder, Harris's easiest path is to hold the blue wall. If she wins Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, remember, she gets to the White House. Even if she loses Georgia, North Carolina, the entire Sun Belt, she still gets there. Let's talk about Georgia, though. Let's find out where we are there in the Peach State. Still too close to call for NBC News right now. 91% of the vote is in, but let's talk about where the vote remains. Look at, okay, the giant circles, remember those giant bubbles? That's the vote that still is outstanding. We're still waiting on this vote to be counted. And we know the exact number, or we can estimate the exact number. We think it's going to be about 487,000 votes. There's still almost 500,000 votes out in Georgia, still up for grabs here. Let's make some comparisons here. Remember,
it's
I
got
told you
me
Harris has to
thinking,
drive
damn,
the vote
maybe we
in the
did
Atlanta
steal
metro
that
area.
last
50% of the
election.
vote is going to come from this area right here. First county, Cobb County, she's performing just like where Biden is, slightly better. Fulton County, performing a little bit lower, but slightly, and there's still 7% of the vote out in Fulton, where Atlanta is exactly. Gwinnett County, 80%'s in. Look, she's holding the same marks of where Biden was. She's overperforming in Douglas County as we move further south. Look, she's almost exactly where Biden was all around the ring counties of Atlanta. That's good news and overperforming in Rockdale County. But if Democrats wanted to expand the map, we're not seeing that tonight. A place like Cherokee, we're going to see if they could make inroads there just north of Atlanta. It touches those ring counties. Trump was at 68% in 2020.
The
Tonight
Democrats
he's at 69.
should let me run
and
the
they almost got
campaign.
all the vote counted
Let
there.
us run it
I want to
for
move down,
once.
though,
It's
because
not
there
like
is
they're
something interesting
winning
happening in the
anything.
Black Belt of
You know what
Georgia.
I mean?
I was talking to you guys about the Black Belt of North Carolina earlier.
Idea.
They should let us. They should let her. Like, they fucked up so much. They should just let us run it. You know?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not give it a shot? See if it fucking works out. I'm
Yeah,
here.
we didn't lose to Trump twice. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, you know, they got the Seltzer poll. They did well in 2022. Like, maybe they can do it. But it's like, nope. They just don't know what the fuck they're doing. Maybe you should care about winning next time instead of whatever bullshit.
I mean, I don't get it. I just don't understand. I would have, if you asked me, I wouldn't have fucking run with the right wing immigration bill. I think.
Yeah.
In a country where even the Fox News exit polls are showing nationally that like more people are saying that they're on board with a pathway to citizenship rather than mass deportation, kind of seems weird when like one party is running mass deportation and the other party's like marginally less deportation. Kind of seems like there isn't, there's like a underrepresented aspect there that they could have maybe taken advantage of,
It just didn't make it. Just none of what they did made sense logically. It's like if the question is like if the question is here that you suddenly back this restrictionist policy, why didn't you do it? Like, it was legitimately a good question. Why didn't they do it like during their first 3 years in power? What were they doing? Like, what were they trying to accomplish?
I don't know what happened, but like it was October 5th, 2023, when Joe Biden, I think, like got zapped in the brain or something. And I guess a couple months before that, they were like basically gearing up for this like right-wing border bill that they were going to unveil, and it was going to be a massive fucking victory for them. And their whole, you fake fucking leftists are why the Gaza genocide will be fully completed. Brother, don't act like you care about Gaza.
He's winning every swing state by like 2 to 4 points. It's
Yeah.
not because of Jill Stein.
Yeah.
Or PSL.
Like there's like plenty of fucking states where she's losing, where like her turnout strategy should have been more successful, right? North Carolina and Georgia. Her like, we're gonna make the suburbs scream. We're gonna unleash ourselves upon the suburbs and make them fucking sing the praises of Mao Zedong. What happened? What happened to that technique? It didn't work. It didn't work at all. Seems like they're still very much Hitlerian. The suburbs seemingly have remained pro Adolf Hitler. Okay.
Yeah.
Turns out trotting out Liz Cheney wasn't successful. Shocking.
No. Her father left public office with a 13% approval rating. It's just this doesn't need to be hard. This shouldn't have been hard. This shouldn't have been so complicated. They didn't need to make the compromises that they made. They didn't need to do what they did. It was just never needed to be this difficult. It was never this complex. The roadmap was always there. Like, God, she's winning fucking New Jersey in single digits. You think that's because of wokeness?
People
You think
don't
that's
understand. I need you guys who are watching to understand something, okay? We're not over here gloating because the Democrats are fucking losing. Like, oh, we
No.
wanted them to lose. We're saying that, like,
I
if the
predicted that
Democrats
she'd win.
if the Democrats implemented a better turnout strategy than this like demonstrable fucking failure, it would have been probably a better safeguard against growing fascism in this country.
Or just had like a coherent understanding of what they were even trying to do or accomplish. Just any kind of like vision for what they were doing other than just staying in power, prioritizing something above just like this neocon fantasy that they've become obsessed with. This is just not what anybody was asking for. It's like the centrist parody of like a Bernie Sanders administration where he lets Republicans win because he's not willing to give up on Medicare for all. They did that, but
Look at this. Michigan exit poll showing Trump Latino support at 60% to Harris 35%. This fucking anti-Trump account literally says send them back.
Dude.
It's happening. It's happening. Liberals are going to start being insanely racist. You're probably a terrorist. That's an interesting take. Why probably? Like if you like I like that you're not saying I'm definitely a terrorist. You're like, you're probably a terrorist. That's cool. Sorry. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, he gave you some wiggle room.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not fully invested in the fact that you're a terrorist, but you probably are one.
Mm-hmm.
Just saw Democratic political strategists blame the fact that black voters in Wisconsin are breaking for Trump on illiteracy. If Trump does end up getting anything close to the share of black voters that polls predicted, libs are about to get real racist real quick. Ditto for Arabs. Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine sent a map of the swing here, and what's really notable about it, I'm just looking at it. There's some states where like there's like clear right shift. There's like a clear rightward swing, like more than others. But it's just the larger story, even among like the Rust Belt and the Sun Belt. It's just a general secular shift towards Trump, not like some like huge like it's not like some Joe Rogan demographic or even like these insane like huge shifts, like this giant realignment where you have like a 40-point swing among one demographic. The larger story here is just that like there's just voters who are up for grabs every year, and they saw this administration as a failure, and they saw Trump as somebody who they were willing to go back as a last resort. I don't know what the Senate race looks like. I don't know, like, the hope for Democrats,
Oh.
honestly, at this point has got to be that they can hold on to enough of these Senate races that, like, they can maybe have a shot at winning the chamber in 2026 with a really, really good year.
I'm gonna pull in our lib correspondent real quick in here. His name is Austin. Austin Show. I'm gonna call
people said
both.
my voice sounds like his.
Okay, I'm gonna call both of you guys. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of reason is here, okay? My normie friends are blaming me for the Democratic Party's losses right now because I was like, listen, I told you that they were running a dog shit campaign and my normie friends are in the group chats saying I did this. Just so you guys have a better understanding of what the fuck we're looking at. Hello, Austin Show.
Hassan Piker. Look, I mean, I thought we were fucked probably from the moment they started counting votes. It just has never looked good the entire evening. Hello?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm listening. Here, I'm popping you out.
Oh, can you hear me? Is my internet okay?
Also, Austin Show, Josh Edinger Mentum, Edinger Mentum, Austin Show.
Hello, Austin.
Hey, how are you?
As well as I can be, I guess.
Nice to meet you. I'm Austin Show. Once every 4 years, I become a Democratic political strategist.
Yeah.
It was fun the first time I became one, but now I'm seeing the other side.
Yeah.
Of when you get your ass whooped.
Yeah, there was a good run.
I mean,
they're calling North Carolina.
Yeah, I think they did that a minute
Well, it's
ago.
about damn time.
Yeah.
Am I lagging?
No, you're a little bit. Yeah.
Well, let me close some windows here. I don't know what the.
God damn! How many goddamn windows you have open, Austin? Holy shit!
I have a ton. I was comparing data from like 2020 to 2024. I was like doing it all.
Austin, why do you have a sign that says Christmas behind you?
My look, November 1st, I operate on the Mariah Carey Christmas holiday. When Mariah Carey says it's time, it's fucking time, Hassan. So my house is fucking decorated from top to bottom with fucking Christmas decorations.
Okay.
All right. I tell you what, like literally, like I have 3 Christmas trees. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. One in my room. I have 5 Christmas trees up. I've got garland going up my stairs.
Okay.
I've
We
got
have
reindeer
300,000
everywhere.
people in here. It's time to lock in. All right.
Okay, sorry. Look,
before Josh video games himself.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
This is the deal. I thought before this election happened, okay, I thought, oh my God, Harris has run a fucking awful campaign. I said this over and over again in this broadcast. I agreed with you. I said it in Mike's broadcast. If any of you watched me in Mike's broadcast, even this morning, I said she'd run a shitty campaign. However, I thought that shitty campaign wasn't as shitty as the Trump campaign that they ran. And I still think that campaign was shitty, but it was like a shit throwing contest that the Democrats were just somehow shittier, and they fucking lost, and they're going to lose. I just wish they'd call the election because it's over. It's fucking over. I have no copium to share with you. There is not one single statistic at this point that I could point to say that there's any trend that would go in her way, in her direction. And like, I don't know what the fuck that campaign message was. There's not, like the person on NBC said it. There's no, like, she's losing ground in the biggest part of the vote that she needs, like in Philadelphia. She's losing ground. She's losing ground.
Austin, we brought you in to do hopium, dude.
No, there's no fucking hopium. Election.
I think New York Times needle is at like 90% Trump.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, look, the only thing I'm happy about is I didn't fucking get on a plane to be miserable. At least I can go to bed in my own bed tonight.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. You were supposed to be here. We would have won if you were here.
Yeah, we may have. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, something I just noted. This is for those who know, but Jeff Jackson actually won his race for North Carolina Attorney General. The TikTok Democrat. He won by like 3 points.
Is that, well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Josh
at this
Stein went
point, aren't they on track to like win the House and the Senate as well?
I think the Senate at this point, I think, is Republicans are clearly going to win. Like the question going now is like, can Democrats hold on in like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania at the Senate level and not like totally like get in a position where Trump is like at 55 Senate seats, where maybe like you can have the more moderate members of the GOP like vote against some of his craziest shit.
Yeah.
And like you are in a position to win back the Senate in 2026.
Yeah.
It's very much a live wire. I don't even know how. I don't know if Casey and Baldwin are even outperforming him by that much. Like they're
Like,
down
what
by
sort of
2.
crazy shit are they going to try to pass? Do you think?
It's tough for them because they still have to deal with the filibuster in the Senate. Democrats at worst case scenario are going to have like 45 seats here, so there's not going to be like them passing bills with a filibuster proof majority. But they're going to have full control over like financial spending because they're probably going to win the House here. They're going to be able to like extend the Trump tax cuts for like another 10 years.
The Republicans are going to abolish the filibuster.
Yeah, they're going to abolish the filibuster to pass anti-Medicare for all.
Just kidding. They don't have to do that. You want to know why? Because Democrats will caucus with them every single fucking time. Remember in 2017 when Trump was like, we're going to do the tax cuts? And Chuck Schumer's response was, well, why don't you send us the bill earlier so we can agree with it? I was like, that's it. That's what the fuck. It's so cooked. Like, there's always room for the Democrats to concede to the Republicans on right-wing legislation. Fear not. They don't need to ever fucking abolish the filibuster.
Yeah, I mean, Americans do what Americans do, and they did it again. The Democrats provided no alternative that excited anybody.
It was, the only shit they were running on was like the most abstract bullshit, like about like, oh, we represent turning the page from the Trump era, this last 8 years. But it's not the Trump era, this last 8 years. You were in power for half of that time. You governed during during the inflation crisis, generationally high interest rates. Like it wasn't him. That's not how people saw it. If you wanted to make an actual like break from him, you had to do it in a way that mattered.
Ted Cruz has won re-election in Texas.
Yeah. God, she's gonna win. She's gonna lose Texas by like 15 points.
Yeah, the entire electorate moved to the left. Didn't you say Minnesota? I overheard you saying Minnesota's a toss-up.
Minnesota on New York Times. Let me check what they have it as. Minnesota is lean D now. She is currently projected to win a state that Biden won by 3.7. So I guess maybe there was a little bit of a Walz boost. Goodness. Yeah. So I guess she won't lose anything beyond the main swing states, even though she really cut it close in New Hampshire, New Mexico. Yeah.
The story of the Texas Senate race. Ted Cruz won Latino voters by 6 points per NBC News exit polls. In his last race in 2018, Cruz lost Latinos by 29 points.
That's an insane swing.
A 35-point swing.
Cruz has never been good as a politician. He underperformed Romney. He barely beat Beto.
It's the Cruz mentum. I think it's his world. We're living in it. I'll say it.
Yeah.
He's just the best.
So, do you think they're going to try to go like full fascist and like not let us vote again?
I don't know. I mean, I think.
Well, that's not a good answer. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Well, the thing with that is that like if they were going to do it, they would have done it the first time. They're still not going to have a filibuster-proof majority. But like Alito and Thomas are probably going to retire, and they're going to have like a Supreme Court super far-right majority. I mean, like. This is the post J6 Trump. This is like a guy who tried to overturn the election, kill his own vice president. And like has immunity from the Supreme Court. Like, who knows what he'll try? But like,
oh yeah.
I mean,
I forgot that the Supreme Court gave him additional extra protections when he's engaging in presidential acts. That's gonna be fucking fun. That's maybe we'll go to jail. I don't know. Fuck it. I just
His
it is
sentencing
what
is
it is,
next
I
month.
guess.
What is Biden going to say about this? Biden's just going to say he would have won.
That'd be funny.
You should have made me dropped out, Jack.
Yeah, Biden doesn't know what fucking year it is. Okay, Biden already said that he wasn't even attending the Kamala Harris party because he knew that she was gonna lose.
Yeah. This is for those who know.
Bonnie Willis won her re-election.
Yeah, in Fulton County, good job. You won by 50 points.
Yeah.
Hey, Oregon won. Huh? She won Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. She's at 200 electoral votes now. Awesome.
That's right. Oregon's standing strong.
Just shy of the 70 that she needs. A lot of people in the chat are asking, like, is this the red mirage? Is this the red mirage? Now, normally I would tell you, wait for all the votes to be counted, but you still have to look at her current performance, right? Like, she needs to reach a certain level in her current performance for this to be just a simple red mirage and not like a victory for Donald Trump. And right now, she's not meeting those expectations.
Yeah, we're just consistently seeing rightward swings that are large enough for Trump to win in all these swing states, just across like practically everywhere in the country. There are areas where he's winning by like a shit ton. There are areas where he's making massive swings to the right. There are areas where like he's making smaller swings to the right. But the areas where he's not, that aren't swinging to the right, are like few and far between. Like, you at this point, you just have to see such a localized like blue wave in these specific areas. Like, it's just it's just really,
That's usually
really
not how that works, is the point.
It's not how it works. You're asking for a miracle.
Yeah, it's hopium. Jackie Heinrich, senior White House correspondent for Fox News, says 3 sources close to Harris are expressing concern that Harris's path to victory may be too narrow to overcome. One source at the Harris Friends and Family Party says her path is so narrow and she's not doing what she needs to do in PA, Michigan, Wisconsin. The exit polls I saw hours ago are all accurate. They need to suddenly outperform those. Don't believe that will happen. Asked about this, a second source close to Harris told me, I 100% agree. The path to victory is very difficult. His numbers are higher than expected in counties where he should be losing by larger margins in PA and Michigan. A third source close to the campaign said, I think we're losing this. Hearing word that Harris may come to Howard University soon, but not for another hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
at this point, like, if you're a Democrat, you just need to worry about managing your losses, like in Congress, to see if you can make a comeback within the foreseeable future. Because, like past this point, like at the presidential level, it's just so narrow. It's just not there.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's get back to what NBC News is saying while I go pee.
Senator Bernie Sanders, for example, he does caucus with the Democrats, just to give people
Holy
a sense
fuck.
of what that
Minnesota
looks like
moves too close to call by
so
NBC.
We continue to watch that race very closely.
Let's
All
see
right,
what
let's
New
take a
York
moment
Times
right
says
here. We're
about
gonna let
that.
some of our other stations catch up as we put the map up. Let's look at the road
Election
to
alert.
270, and we will wait a few moments and let some other stations join us. That is where the map
New York
stands at this
Times
hour,
still
about
has
10
her
minutes till
83%
midnight here
to win
on the East
Minnesota.
Coast. And
I don't think
we've
it's
got
going
a
to go
lot
in
to
his
get to. We're going to go to
column,
San
but,
Brock
like,
in
this is
Asheville, North
definitely not
Carolina.
a
Of course, the
situation
western
where it
part of
looks
North
like
Carolina,
Walls
hard
really
hit by
need
Hurricane
much
Helene. We've
help.
got, if you're just joining us, we've
This
made a
is, like,
projection
kind of
in North
bordering on,
Carolina.
like, the
Donald
Trump
Trump will
bank map
keep
landslide
North Carolina
world.
in the win column, which
Yes,
significantly
like
narrows the potential
one
path
where
for
he
Kamala
just,
Harris
I mean,
to take the presidency.
like runs the
We've also had a
table
governor's
on
race decided
all
there.
the swing states.
Sam, what you got?
Yeah, well, that like is a bare minimum, and then like winning
Yeah,
like
that's very
some
apropos,
bullshit like
actually,
New
Savannah. I'm going to
Mexico
talk
or
about the
New
governor's race
Hampshire,
in a second, but a
Minnesota.
few
I don't
reflections
think we're
here.
at that point
The
where you're seeing those
Democratic
insane
strongholds
upsets. I
in
don't think
North
they did
Carolina,
that
Buncombe
poorly.
County and Asheville being one of
But
them,
like,
Mecklenburg with Charlotte, of course,
he's
and Wake
probably
and
going to run
Raleigh
the table on the
were
swing
almost
states.
identical
Like I
in terms
guess
of the
Nevada doesn't
splits.
have anything in
60,
yet, but
38
like
for Democrat
that's
versus
probably not
Republican
happening.
here.
Even when people thought that
66%, I believe,
like this was a
Mecklenburg
way
and
more
Charlotte,
favorable
62,
election for them,
63%.
they
In
like
Wake,
John
it's almost
Ralston only
identical
had
to
her
what it
by
was 4
up
years
by
ago,
0.3.
but it's the margins in the rural parts of the state that really
Oh, they wanna
drove
watch.
this
Hold
victory,
on.
at least by a couple of
Yeah.
percentage percentage points for Trump, which sounds pretty familiar. Tom was talking about that a second ago. That's thought one. Thought two is the Democratic race. You know, the governor's race, excuse me, there was a lot of thoughts about split tickets and whether Mark Robinson would be potentially dragging down President Trump or even affecting the down ballot races. We have updates here, and it's not just Mark Robinson losing convincingly to Josh Stein, 55 to 39%, with 85% or so of the votes in so far, but it's also the lieutenant governor's race. The Democrat up a couple percentage points there, Rachel Hunt. Jeff Jackson, the AG, he's up a couple percentage points over his Republican opponent. So you're seeing truly Republican or voters here in North Carolina going across the board for statewide Democrats and then also voting for Donald Trump. So we're seeing that sort of as a microcosm of this overall picture. And then lastly, you have roughly 37% of the electorate in North Carolina that is unassigned, right? Not Democratic, not Republican. Democrats, registered Democrats in the state had gone down about
I think we should all just
80,000 or
grift
so, I
right.
believe, votes
That's what I was
from the
thinking
previous election.
while I was
Republicans
pissing.
had gained 100,000 plus
I'm
registered
gonna be the
voters, but
right-wing
the
election
reality
dude.
here is now
I
400,000
think
new
I'm gonna
unaffiliated
do
voters,
that.
and we were
I'll
wondering
be a gaze
where
for
would they
Trump
fall?
guy. I
What
think
is the
that could be
fault line gonna
cool.
be for those
Yeah,
folks?
that way we
These
can avoid
hundreds of thousands that are
a
moving in
lengthy
from out
prison
of state
sentence.
North
Like we're
Carolina
still going to
into the
jail,
third
but
most
like
amount
at
of
least
people
for not like a
post-pandemic
super
after
long
Texas
time.
and
You know what I
Florida.
mean?
How would they
Hold on.
We'll be able to do some
especially in the
plea
suburbs of
bargain.
these large
Am I going to jail too, or can I?
You're gay.
I know, but hold on.
You're gay, dog. You're going to jail and hell. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to both.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna use all the rest of my.
See, I'm doing it already. I'm doing such a good job. I'd be such a good fucking right wing girl.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get on the. I've got a lot of points on American Airlines through Alaska. I think I'm gonna use them all, and I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah. The only wins Democrats had, they had Josh Stein who beat Rob the Gooner. They had the TikTok guy who won in North Carolina. And I think Gallego is going to beat Carrie Lake because I guess people didn't fuck with her for some reason. But that's it. That's all liberalism has now. This 200-year tradition stretching back to Franklin Roosevelt and Thomas Jefferson. They have these three races.
Yeah, dude. In virtually every county that you look at that they pull up on the screen, even the ones where she's just even by 0.02, she's she's trailing, running behind Biden by like 0.02 here, 1 point here, 0.7 here. It's like you said, a death by 1,000 cuts. She is not doing better virtually anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Virtually everywhere she's losing ground.
You had some Democrats who were able to survive that by cranking up the margins in like some really blue areas by a crazy degree, but she just wasn't able to do that. I'm looking at the map of like the swings like across the entire country. Like practically the only areas that moved left are like there's the Atlanta metro area. That's entirely probably because of migration. There's some areas in North Carolina. There's some areas in Virginia. There's a couple rural counties, and that's probably just due to variance. This is just a broad rejection of an administration people just don't like.
Yep.
It's not like something like in 2016 where you saw this huge realignment. It's just that basic kind of map, that canvas the Democrats have managed to win with before, just shifting to the right.
Yep.
It's nothing like we don't know about.
I think it was the FaZe Banks constituency. I'll say it.
That was it.
FaZe Banks,
That
when he
saved
fucking
them.
phased up for Donald Trump, he brought out the vote. He did that shit, dude. He fucking phased up, and we phased up with him, and America's now phasing up for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That's the unfortunate set of
Do you think
circumstances.
he's actually going to put tariffs on China?
That's all the fuck he cares about. Trump learned about history for the first time to become a weeaboo for William McKinley. This is like his motivating purpose. This is all he wants to do.
Yeah, he just wants to do tariffs on China. Which, I mean, again, silver lining, it is going to destroy the Trump merchandising business, which is the backbone of rural America. You go to Galveston, you're going to see only fucking Trump merch stores, okay? This is like the most resilient industry in, plus 35 red counties all across the fucking nation. They have like, they don't even have a hospital anymore. They don't even have like a functioning grocery store because Walmart came in and then they gutted the competition and they fucked off when they couldn't fucking eke out a profit margin. But they have 11 Trump merchandise stores. And every single one of those 11 Trump merchandise stores is going to be destroyed. So that's the one silver lining. I like to look at that I like to look at, the good and the bad. I like to weigh it together. So when the tariffs come kicking in, you know what's not going to be hurt? Ideology.shop. The merchandise that I make is American made, baby. American made, American garment manufacturers, union made. Ideology.shop. The election collection is available. It's American. Unlike, the Trump merchandise.
That's where I got this sweatshirt.
Yeah, drop shippers are going to get fucking destroyed. That's another thing. Like all the crypto drop shipper guys, all the podcasters that sell cryptocurrency. FaZe Banks is texting me right now. He's watching. But yeah, that industry is also in the shitter. Trump won because you kept playing that Fire Donald Trump song. This is on you, buddy. I know. I did this. I was a responsible party.
Dude, I woke up with that song stuck in my head. That should have been my first indication.
Yeah.
I was singing it this morning in the shower. I was singing it.
Yeah, it's catchy as fuck. Bro, that's why the Latino vote is swinging to the fucking... Dude, we joke, but... I mean, some's got to be the reason why Latino men are swinging by like 20 points, 30 points to the fucking Republican Party. Where's that coming from? I'm going to tell you where that's coming from, okay? Hold on. I'm trying to fucking pull it. All right, here it is. Wait, what the fuck? That's not the right one. God damn it. Oh, here.
Again. The big question now is what happens for the race if Trump wins the race for Vance's seat.
What happens? What was your question?
We're gonna get Senator Vivek.
Oh God! All the words, dude. RFK Jr. running like the fucking FDA and the CDC. We're so fucked, dude. We are so fucked. Holy shit.
Yeah. It's over. This country over party.
Yeah, country over party is finally happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I gotta eat my feelings, dude. I'm ordering barbecue or some shit.
Yeah. I'm getting that.
God damn it, I keep thinking of all the things that we've heard over the last several months about what would happen, and
Elon Musk. He said Herschel Walker Jr. is going to be responsible for the missiles. I don't even know what that means. I don't even want to contemplate.
Creating the American Iron Dome.
And I keep reiterating this point, but the most annoying, dumbest people are going to be celebrating so fucking hard tonight and tomorrow. And for like at least until the midterms, you know what I mean? Like there's at least a 2-year celebration period for the dumbest fucking idiots who are just going to consistently badger you with misinformation, nonsensical bullshit, racial animus at every fucking corner. And there's, and then on the other side, you're going to have the resistance libs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those people are going to be like, I think they're going to go back to their Bush era roots. They're going to be like anti-corporate now. Also, Harris only got 15% of the vote in Dearborn. It was 45 Trump, 33 Stein, 15 Harris.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't think they're going to go anti-corporate. I think they're going to go more anti-Arab, more overtly anti-Arab, more overtly fucking anti-Muslim, more overtly anti-Latino. That's coming too. They're Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 por Dios. Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. San Francisco Chronicle crawled the race for California Prop 36, increasing criminal penalties. It passed. Yeah, I mean, it was slated to pass. It was gonna pass. That's I mean, it's fucking terrible, but.
Where's my fucking charger?
Ay, 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 por Dios. Okay. I'm gonna have to relearn the nod when they say the most outrageous shit with a straight face. Yeah. Time to cry. I mean, one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that for me at least, like I was already pretty fucking bummed out by the state of affairs in this country, whether Kamala Harris won or Donald Trump won. I think that we're pretty cooked. We're fucking fried. We're cooked. It's done. Throw it in the pooper. Throw it in the trash. Regardless of who wins, right? So
I
this
felt
is
like
just
her-
making me more bummed out than I was already at.
I thought her winning at least bought us a little bit more time for hope. If that makes sense. But now
Yeah.
it's fully lost.
Like the idea with her was like, oh, she wins, she maybe does well in Congress, and then like they lower interest rates and the economy does well, and then like you can maybe like ride backlash of Dobbs to some kind of majority. But like, yeah, I mean, it's ripping the Band-Aid off. It's hiding the contradictions. Like something was going to have to give with this Democratic establishment. They were never going to be capable of like sustaining this long term because they cared more about war than winning, and like this is what you get.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Kornacki.
But it's important. Trump's gains with Hispanic
my
voters.
laptop's not
You're
good.
absolutely seeing it here in Luzerne County. He's going to win this by more than 20 votes. That's a significant jump for him. His campaign said he was going to do that. They
I'm
did
getting
do
a
that here.
fucking
We also saw
cheeseburger,
him
dude.
make those gains in
Fuck this.
Lackawanna County right next door earlier tonight. Also, where we're getting some clarity in Pennsylvania, South Central Pennsylvania, Lancaster County. This is one of the counties where you can see in 2020, Trump got 57-41. It's 57-58 if you round it 41 now. This is a place where Trump slipped in 2020, where Democrats wanted him to slip further. That's not happening. This is a big region population-wise. It doesn't get the same attention as Philadelphia. Lebanon County here, too. All the vote is in. Again, Democrats wanted more of a Trump drop-off here. They don't get it in Lebanon County tonight. And we showed you Cumberland County, I believe, earlier, but also in this region, also a place Democrats wanted gains, also a place where really they're not getting it tonight. Look inside the collar counties here, just outside Philadelphia. These are huge population-dense counties, and I'll flag a couple things. We got almost all the vote in Delaware County right now. Of these core collar counties, this is the most Democratic. It's the most
We're not
diverse,
being
most
doomers for
blue
no
collar
reason.
of these sort
I
of,
don't know
of
why
these
you
three,
guys
of
don't
Delaware,
understand.
of Chester.
This is not like random doomerism for no particular reason. The reason why everyone is doomed out is because the state of affairs shows Kamala Harris slated to lose Pennsylvania and potentially Michigan and also Wisconsin as well. Not that it matters. If you fucking lose if you lose Pennsylvania, it's over anyway. So, that's the reason why we are upset. Like, there is no, like, I see no purpose in trying to tell you that, like, oh, here's how it's gonna happen. Here's how it's gonna. Here's how we're going to find a victory for the Democrats here. Like, there's nothing on the map that shows that.
This is exactly. And you have like cases like Gallego where he is like, I mean, he kind of ran to the center, but he beat Carrie Lake, who is like a Trump toady. You're probably going to have a number of Senate Democrats. I don't know if it'll be all of them, but at least some of them who are going to be able to win in these swing states where Trump is winning. We have a whole suite of Democrats who won in 2022 in these states that are voting for Trump. Warnock, Whitmer, I don't know, like Kelly, even goddamn Fetterman. There's a path here. We know how to win against these guys in these kinds of elections. You just can't do it like this. You just can't do it like this. You can't do it by prioritizing this bullshit ideology over everything else. Yeah, I know Fetterman sucks, but like he won Pennsylvania by 5.
Yeah, New York Times showing that Trump is slated to win. 85% of the estimated vote totals have been reported so far. Oh no, that's looking at Pennsylvania alone. Hold on, where's the fucking needle? God damn it. Yeah, Trump's chances of winning is at 90% chance of victory, and the Electoral College gains looks to be about 301, which would mean that, you know, Like Minnesota still leans D, Wisconsin is leaning R, Michigan is leaning R, and Pennsylvania is leaning R. The fact that, I mean, Minnesota being lean D is also with 55% of the votes in. I mean, I didn't hear no bell.
Pennsylvania's got 85% of the vote in. They counted fast.
Yeah, they really fixed the laws after 2020.
They counted quick.
Yeah. AUKUS votes haven't been tallied yet. Dude, this shit went downhill after they fucking locked up my boy Ryan Ruth. You know what I mean? This is we're now living in the ashes of a post Ryan Ruth universe. You know, the man was just walking around with exercising his right to bear arms, and they were like, nope, you can't do that around the president. Sorry, you're going to fucking jail. You know, Ryan Ruth had 1,000 NATO-trained Afghan voters ready to fucking go, ready to be deployed into every swing state. He could have done it. He could have done the damn thing. He would have put the 1,000 NATO-trained Afghan soldiers in the swing states. Oh, let's hear what Jen Psaki has to say.
Page economic plan or
Oh,
whatever their other
boy.
plan is.
Good job.
And that's a different
I disagree
conversation.
with you a little bit, Jen, on
Okay,
that.
that's
I do
okay.
think
The level of disagreement. Go ahead.
I do think there was policy, but it was more around the record. So I mean, Donald Trump was running as the incumbent president without being the incumbent president. He was running on his record primarily prior to COVID and reminding people, whether it was on the immigration, the economy. I mean, I remember when I was on the 2020 campaign prior to the pandemic, I think we were down
How do you
for a
reconcile with they were too online? They still were. This is not like
They
a
still were,
fantastic-
yeah.
This is not a fantastic result for the fucking Trump campaign either. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they should have won by more. Biden was minus 18 approval. Like, oh, you won all these states that were close 4 years ago. Awesome. Against Kamala Harris. Like, they could have. I mean, this is obviously like a good result for them, but it's like there's something is going to give with that. It's not going to work in governance. Like, if you thought that they were full of themselves after 2016, they let that like fluke victory, like they rode off that shit for like fucking like 8 years. They are never going to even consider moderating anything ever again now.
Yeah. Cope. No, you're right, actually. Constantly chirping about like immigrants eating cats and dogs, which even fucking the Republican base of support said was weird, was actually really positive.
Yeah.
Dude,
that
you
was
guys live in a fucking totally different universe, I think. Like I just don't understand it.
Yeah, this is the thing that's annoying because every time like you have like an election like this where one side wins, even if it's like a close race like this is, like even like all these states are probably going to come within 2 points. It's not like 2016 close, but it's like still relatively close. Like people act like everything the winning campaign did like is genius, but like that's just not how it works out. People treated the Trump 2016 campaign like that, and like he was really unpopular throughout his term and he got booted out after 1 year. Like there's a give and take here. Like these were two, I would say these were both two very poorly managed campaigns. Like we don't need to pretend like everything they did was smart.
Yeah. I mean, I said both campaigns were I said both campaigns were doing poorly. And I thought that the Trump campaign was outperforming the Kamala Harris campaign on the being poor margin. But it seemingly did not matter at the end. There were enough. It seems like there were enough podcast voters that were like, "Nah, actually, I will take a shot in the dark at this guy. You know, he's gonna fix the economy. He's gonna do tariffs." That's so funny. Yeah, his brilliant campaign was literally just constantly talking about trans people and like immigrants and stuff. When everyone was like, "Please fix the prices." So, in the absence of Kamala Harris having like a good communication strategy on how to fix those prices, and also Donald Trump routinely refusing to say anything about it, I guess people were like, yeah, well, I guess he didn't fuck up the prices. I remember the presidency fondly. You know, shit wasn't as expensive as it is.
That's really the American voter.
Bro.
American voter economy.
Dude, Decision Desk HQ says that Democrats might win the House.
How? Where?
This isn't just a choose that the Democrats are favorites in the House.
If they won the House, I feel like we'd kind of win tonight.
Yeah, that would be the split mandate where, like, they say we don't fuck with Biden, but we don't want fucking like Republicans in charge.
The statement sent by the campaign chair, Jen O'Malley Dillon, saying basically.
Okay, I guess we're gonna have to wait a fucking week for like whatever results come out from there.
That they believe the blue wall states are their best going forward at this time.
Oh, you son of a bitch! You got pizza?
Yeah, it's cold because I ordered it when I thought she was going to win, and I haven't been able to eat.
We're going to keep at it tomorrow, but we wait to hear from Kamala Harris, of course, in the course of the next couple of hours. We'll let you know.
Jen, how important are notes like that?
My dad voted for
our
Trump and the
consumption,
Democratic
but for
House
the
candidate. I
consumption of
wish
the
I was
campaign.
joking, but he said he voted for him because he was good on Israel. That's my favorite. That's my favorite situation that Kamala Harris literally was like, "Please, I promise you, I fucking hate Arabs. Like, I hate Arabs. I love Israel." And like, still, people that only care about that just went and voted for Donald Trump. Just like when Kamala Harris was like, "I'm going to be the border mutilator. Okay, arm me with an M60, put me in a fucking Black Hawk. I am going to rip Guatemalan migrants into shreds with my automatic machine gun." And then the Republicans would be like, "No, you're not going to do that. I'm going to do concentration camps and Adolf Hitler on every person that is even remotely brown." And everyone that wanted that was like, "Okay, I'm going to go with the fucking concentration camp guy."
There was never an express reason as to why like that wasn't a good policy. They just said that they also supported it too.
Yeah, and then they said the Republicans are hypocrites. It's like, no, dumbass, you're the hypocrite. You said the wall is racist for years.
Yeah, she called it a medieval strategy.
And then when talking to Anderson Cooper in that CNN town hall, she was like, "Well, some ideas are good." It's like, oh my God, it's not. That the worst aspect of this, aside from the sheer cruelty that we are going to subject millions of Americans to, is the fact that it is born out of nothing. Like, there is no evidence. There's no evidence whatsoever that immigrants constitute a national security threat. It is pure panic narratives set forth by psychopathic Republicans hallucinating this like white nativist reality, and the Democrats did not even fight against it at all. And instead, they geared their base to be open-minded to that kind of death and destruction for no reason. No reason whatsoever.
Hassan, question.
Yeah. I'm looking at the House right now quickly, and Democrats might pull it out because they're actually so far doing pretty decent in California. So good job, Hassan. Your state may save America.
Yeah, well, we're fucking also abolishing slavery, so.
Yeah,
That was pretty chill.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln State, California.
Yeah, except we're I voted to abolish slavery, but also the ballot measure that was like, would you like to punish criminals more in like one of the most draconian criminal justice states in the fucking entire nation? And that passed like already. That was so popular.
God. Yeah, Democrats are kind of holding up in the House, which is like weird in a way that they aren't really doing in the Senate. Like you have like in the Senate, you had these Democrats like who were outrunning Harris and Biden by a ton like the entire time, but kind of ended up coming down to the wire with them at the end of the campaign, like Baldwin and Casey, which like I would say is, I mean, I was personally always of the belief that like it's just Biden's the problem and the Democrats are fine, but like that's like kind of a blow to that. Like I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the Republicans spent a lot of money in those races. They were probably able to drive down the favorables and connect them to Kamala. But in these House races, you do have these people like who are running ahead of her. If they can win the House, that would be huge. That would really like it wouldn't freeze out the Trump administration because Trump would still be able to get all of his appointments through the Senate. But it would stop them from passing any meaningful laws. It would be gridlock once again.
So I was going to ask you.
Republicans have officially won the U.S. Senate majority, seizing control of the chamber for the first time in 4 years. Oh my God.
Yeah. The Democrats just need to make sure they don't get fucking killed.
Gentlemen, I do have a question.
Yes.
So, other than what you mentioned, so if he wins the presidency, but they're able to keep that or flip the House, the what things can he do as president? So he can appoint
Supreme Court
uh,
justices. You can get his
justices.
cabinet. He can get his cabinet through. He can do. It's kind of like a feedback. He's not going to be able to pass any meaningful laws. He might have it like even basic. Like he won't be able to pass any like reconciliation bills, like repealing Obamacare or repealing like getting his tax cuts through. He's going to have to go through a big fight to like get his tax cuts put back together. Depending on the size, if Democrats do end up winning the majority, the size of the majority, even like if Republicans do win, it's going to be a very, very small majority in the House, and they will have to fight very hard to get any bills passed. This is going to be an administration that is very much like the imperial presidency. It's going to be an administration that rules through the executive, through a pliant judiciary, and isn't passing any new laws, but is ruling through the enforcement of those laws.
Abortion rights are beating Kamala in every single state that voted on them. Progressive policies aren't unelectable. Unpopular Democratic politicians are. I mean, I guess this is a communications failure to a certain degree. Like, I don't know. I don't know how the fuck you get like I don't know how you re-elect the guy who, made this an issue to begin with while simultaneously voting against the issue.
Yeah. Well, it's an issue. It's a question of